Hi, I'm Darren Walker. Tonight on Inside Louisiana Softball, we recap the 2019 spring football game with Dan McDonald and Gerald Broussard. And later, freshman track star Hannes Berger relives his phenomenal performance at the Sunbelt Indoor Track and Field Championships. But first, with head coach Gerry Glasco on the road, we introduce you to sophomore slugger Bailey Curry. All that and more tonight on Inside Louisiana Softball.
Hi, my name is Bailey Curry. I'm a sophomore on the Ragin Cajuns softball team. I had two brothers that played sports, two older brothers, played sports their whole lives, and so I grew up around like football fields because they played football, basketball, baseball. So I grew up around that, and they played travel baseball. So I always, since I was little, I had a bat in my hand, you know. So that was a big thing for me. Like, I was always around it. So I grew up playing everything I could. Just always, I'd rather do that than being inside or being in school or whatever. Making the decision to transfer was not very difficult because our coach left in the middle of the summer, and I was still playing travel ball because I was young enough. And when I realized that we were getting ready to head back to school, I didn't think that was the correct fit for me anymore. When I came down, I immediately fell in love with the place down here. The people were so welcoming. I met Lexi Como, Summer Ellison, Brittany Holland, and a couple of the other girls. And as soon as I really walked in down here, I immediately knew that this is where I wanted to be, and it wasn't a very hard decision for me to make. Trying to find a good fit, it was pretty easy for me. Playing for Coach Glasco is it's actually really cool. I've always heard about him and him coaching at certain places and him with hitting and stuff, and I really honestly didn't know a lot about softball here, but as soon as I came down here, I met him for the first time, and it was almost like it was a perfect fit for me. And he makes everyone feel welcome, almost, and it's like he wants you here for a reason, and he's gonna do everything he can to make you feel that you belong. And he does everything for us, and he's in it for us, and that's a really good feeling to have someone that can very much be all in for you, you know. This season has been very, very different from last year, honestly. Last year we were okay. We weren't a top 10, top 25 team. We weren't as talented, I guess you would say, as we are here. But we pushed through some games, and I almost had that feeling of I had to do something, you know, to win. And coming down here, it's very different because there's 8, 9, honestly 20 other girls that can do it just as well, if not better than me. And so that helps push me and makes me want to be a better player and honestly a better person. I loved where I was last year, and I loved the girls I played with, but coming down here, I don't think I was ever as happy and comfortable where I was as here.
Next on Inside Louisiana Softball, Dan McDonald and Gerald Broussard recap the 2019 spring football game from inside Leon Monclaw Practice Facility.
Intact! Intact! Together! Together! This! F! Time! 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 Intact! Intact! Together! Together! This! F! Time!
If you're happy and you know it's Zydeco. If you're happy and you know it's Zydeco. If you're happy and you know it, then your feet will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it's Zydeco. If you're happy and you know it, mange. If you're happy and you know it, mange. If you're happy and you know it, laughing God will help you show it. If you're happy and you know it, mange.
To perform, you need speed, skill, strength. With every muscle, every move, you push your body to reach its full potential. But sometimes you just can't push through the pain. That's when you know it's time to address it. So when injury puts you on the sidelines, trust us to get you back in the game. Lourdes Sports Care, the team behind your team.
Welcome back to Inside Louisiana Softball. Let's hear now from Dan McDonald and Gerald Broussard as they recap the 2019 spring football game.
Oftentimes, a spring football game comes as sort of an anticlimactic ending to spring football practice. We didn't have that here today at the Montclair Indoor Center as the Ragin Cajuns wrapped up their spring football drills, and they did it in a thrilling fashion. The Vermilion team scoring on the last play of the game to take a 34-31 win. I'm Dan McDonald, along with my partner Gerald Broussard, and I'll be honest, this was a lot more than I expected out of a spring game.
Yeah, it really was. It was a lot of fun. There was some explosive plays, some excitement. We had a couple plays on defense. We saw some names we had thought we'd see do some good things. Saw some new names that we had hoped and heard about, and I think they lived up to it. So, and the other thing was we only had the one turnover, and that was an interception. No fumbles. It was a pretty clean game, and two-minute drives executed, one by each team, to get some scores in there at the end of the game and keep it exciting.
And it was exciting for the people that were inside the Montclair Indoor facility. Moved inside because of the threat of some inclement weather, and I think worked out like a charm. I wouldn't mind coming back in here for more football later on.
No, at first, and it was a little bit warm, when you first get in here because it's non-air conditioned, but I think that things kind of, I guess it got cloudy outside. Things cooled off a little bit. And the game took over. We got excited about the game and excited about football. And the atmosphere was there because it's enclosed. Had we been in Cajun Field, the crowd wouldn't have been near as involved. This was an exciting atmosphere. It was a lot of fun.
Let's talk about first the players that we expected to see and that we expected to do some good things. Quarterback Levi Lewis, quarterback the Vermilion team, and he and Jamarcus Bradley were just a solid connection all day long. Jamarcus ended up with several catches, one touchdown.
Well, and the Vermilion team was the quote-unquote number one offense. So you had Jamarcus on the outside, you had Elijah in the backfield, you had and Elijah and Kale in the backfield with Levi. Levi did a good job distributing the football. Big guys up front, man, they just played really well. And when you got matchups, problems, you exploit them. That's what the offense was able to do today.
Cajuns have all five of those offensive linemen back, and that did a lot of good things for both Elijah Mitchell and Raymond Kale. Both of them showed some flashes. This is a very, very deep Cajun running back core.
Yeah, it really is. And we heard the coaches and the running backs talk about it in a fantasy draft. Who do you take? And nobody picked anybody. Neither would you expect anybody to, but I don't know that you can. They're just really good. We saw some young guys on the white team, too, that impressed also.
Some of those guys, a lot of people wanted to see Avi Magale, the new signee quarterback who, you don't want to adorn anybody with a number right now, but he sort of has that look of that number two quarterback, and I think he may be a factor before this is all over with.
Yeah, number two that can win some games, and that's what you're hoping for. Does he have the skill set to be able to go in and win a game for you? Does he have the skill set to threaten to be the starting quarterback? And I think Ave showed that he does. Once he gets a little better grasp of the offense, I know he knows where to make plays and get the ball to his playmakers, and we saw that today, but got a live arm. Look forward to seeing him.
A couple of touchdown passes to Khalif Gossett, who showed that, he was a man out there playing
player of
today.
the game. Player of the game, really was. Khalif, caught the deep ball a couple of times over people, caught a shallow crosser, showed a burst coming through it. Was a good player for the white team, along with one of the guys we had heard about, Brian Smith Jr., the receiver from Barb and Lake Charles, came out of Glendale Community College. Big guy, Dan, big guy. We saw him there close. And playmaker, did good.
What about the two Smiths? You mentioned Brian Smith Jr. is going to step in and play some at wide receiver in his first year. Chris Smith is a guy trying to break into that running back core. It's going to be a tough row to hoe, but he showed some flashes. This guy's a very, very good football player.
Well, and if something happens, knock on wood, you don't want it to happen, but if something happens and you have some kind of injury in there, you have depth coming from a really deep group that's even deeper now with a guy like Chris Smith. We knew about Johnson's ability to come in there and threaten, but now this guy we've heard about, and he lived up to it.
Cajun offenses looked good really on both sides of the football. Defenses, that's a question mark. That's still pretty much a work in progress, it looks like.
We had a couple guys in the black that were out there still playing, and I say in the black, I mean, I'm looking at Michael Jacquet walking off the field, played a lot of plays in there in a black jersey, non-contact, but he's going to be a player for you. Boudreaux's going to be a player for you. You're going to get some guys in there. We didn't have Zion Hill today. Going to have some guys up front. Going to have some guys. Deuce Wallace didn't play today. And so that defense will be okay. Some familiar names. Looking for the new names. That's what we want to see, the new names to come up. Garrow didn't play today either. So some of those names that we know are good, they'll be good again. It's the new ones that we're looking for.
A lot of guys injured that didn't get a chance really to show themselves today, but they'll be back this fall when the Ragin Cajuns return to practice, getting ready for that August 31st opener against Mississippi State. Gee, I had a great time today.
Yeah, we can do this a lot. Now, I promise you, we can play. Now, this is where we won't play on Saturdays, but we'll be close enough, and this was a lot of fun. We hoped we'd see some excitement, some explosiveness. We saw that today, good atmosphere, and let's do this more.
For my partner, Gerald Broussard, I'm Dan McDonald. The Vermilion team wins it today, 34-31, in the Ragin Cajuns' annual Vermilion-White Spring Football game.
Next on Inside Louisiana Softball, we meet freshman track standout Hannes Berger.
Look at me in the eye. They bleed just like you bleed. There is no apprehension. There is no fear. Bottom line, they got to come through us to get this done. All right, we decide what happens. We dictate what happens on that field today. Together on three. 1, 2, 3, together.
The Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, the highly recognized mark of distinction in college athletics across all divisions, both men's and women's sports. Follow your favorite team's pursuit for excellence in this prestigious annual award through thedirectorscup.com, USA Today, or L Directors Cup on Twitter. Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, the crowning achievement in college athletics since 1993.
Welcome back to Inside Louisiana Softball. Let's meet Hannes Berger as he relives his phenomenal performance at the Sun Belt Conference Indoor Track and Field Championships.
My name is Hannes Berger, and I'm a freshman on the Louisiana track team.
Here comes Berger making the push to the lead. Hannes Berger with 1 lap to go. Here in the men's 3,000 meter, he is separating from the pack and lapping the field here in Birmingham.
It started with cross country. It was kind of rough because it was a short preparation for it. Since we have nationals just in July back home, I started cross country preparation mid-August. So I had a decent cross country season, but it was always, I thought it was a little too short preparation to really show my full potential in cross country. And then after cross country, I got into a little higher mileage, build a base to get ready for indoor. And in the last 3, 4, 5 weeks before indoor conference, we just worked on speed and speed endurance. And it worked out pretty well with peaking at the right moment for indoor conference, with getting 2 titles, what's really amazing. I didn't think I could get these 2 titles. I was seated first in the 3K, so there was a chance to make it, but it's still hard then in the race to really get it, even if you're the top seed first. In the 3K, I was kind of confused since we didn't have a watch on the finish line. I get into the race and I was looking for our pace because I expected a fast race actually for like 8:15, and then there was no watch and I was running just, okay, I'm just going with the pack. I don't really know where I'm at right now, what pace we were going. It feels like decent fast, not all out, but still fast. And then after a few laps, I found that I can watch on, see the time on the wall. So I watched there every time we got there. And then I was just in the pack, running with it. And I don't know, just with 400 to go, I just decided to now make the move, go all out. And I really expected someone to go with me, but no one did. So I just brought the 3K home, and then the next day the mile wasn't the very best race. I don't really know what happened in there. I just didn't get the legs, didn't get the speed at the end to make it. And right after that I cooled down to get my legs a little, get the lactate a little out of it, and warmed up for the 5K. Said, okay, I'm going for 14:45, 15 minutes, just going my pace. If someone goes out 14:15, I can't go with them, I will kill myself. Just go with your pace and see how it works out. And with 600 to go, I think, I finally get to the top group, and I just stayed there, and it felt kind of easier at the end of the race. Because I was like, okay, that's now just 5 laps and then I'm completely done. So I stayed in that pack, and for the last 200 I just gave all out and was so happy that I could win that second title. It means a lot to be the top scorer in my first really track meet over here. We don't have these awards in Germany since everything is more individually, not with points for the team and everything. So right before the race, my coach told me I need to beat Justin to make it, because he had one more point than I had and was in the race too. And there was the other UTA guy who was already supposed to get 22.5 points. So I needed to win that race. And at the beginning it didn't look like I could win it. I just stayed with my plan, kept going with my pace. And when I really crossed the finish line first and knew I really got the most points of all athletes here, there was an amazing feeling.
Next on Inside Louisiana Softball, father and son Tim and Gunnar Leger on the latest Ragin Cajuns podcast.
Intact, together, this, F, time, 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 intact, together, this, F, time.
At the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, our Ragin Cajun spirit goes beyond athletics.
If you're happy and you know it's Zydeco. If you're happy and you know it's Zydeco. If you're happy and you know it, then your feet will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it's Zydeco. If you're happy and you know it, mange. If you're happy and you know it, mange. If you're happy and you know it, laughing God will help you show it. If you're happy and you know it, mange.
Welcome back to Inside Louisiana Softball. Time now for a look at the latest Ragin Cajuns podcast with father and son Tim and Gunnar Leger.
2017 season where Gunnar had his impressive run.
Yeah.
You get to see all those, or you missed a?
I got to see a bunch of those. Yeah, I got to see a bunch of those. again, the schedule kind of worked out. The only thing, there were some nights where when we actually started spring practice, our schedule was always Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So for the 4 weeks we were in spring ball, depending on where he was, there was no shot. And so I listened to all those on the radio and really have become a huge Jay Walker fan because I've had to listen to so many games more than watch, right?
Yeah.
And so that run, I was able to see. And then, of course, the summer before in the Cape was kind of able to see. Ashley and I spent about 8 or 10 days in the Cape with him when he was there for the month or so. And so I got to watch a bunch of it, man. And I've watched a bunch of good ones and some days not so good. So, but I'm always there, if I can.
Let's go to 2015 freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
That was an interesting year in the fact that you had pretty much all freshmen on the mound, and a lot of y'all didn't have a clue where you were going. But somehow that team was able to make it all the way to Baton Rouge in the Super Regional.
Yeah.
So, Gunnar, what was that like for you?
That team, I've been telling a lot of people, that team reminds me so much of this year's team. When you go even player to player, just the similarities between each person and their background and just as a team, I mean, how we started. Pretty sure we had almost the same record. It's just crazy. But 2015 was, I knew coming in that I would have a chance to pitch and had a okay fall. Finally figured out really how tough it was to do both because I came here as a two-way. And my senior year at Barb, I was able to do both pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
So I just figured, I knew we had some older guys position player-wise, so I didn't think I would hit a ton. But, just the guys that can really do it, like the Brendan McKays and the guys that have done it in the past in college baseball, it's really, really impressive because the amount of work, at least that we put in just in the bullpen, and then the amount of work that those guys put in hitting, to juggle that and to be successful doing both is really remarkable. But, I can remember I just wanted to pitch. I had sat some here and there, but I was always contributing somehow. So whether it be just getting lefties or just in the bullpen or whatever, I just wanted to pitch. And I remember coming out, I was the first guy in relief Friday night at UTSA. And I think I threw like 8 straight curveballs, which it's still not even really a great pitch for me. I've never done that in my life, So
yeah.
I wasn't even prepared for that, and thank God it worked out. I think I struck that guy out by the grace of God. But I remember that, and then we were on the road trip back, and there was some talk about me starting the midweek game against Northwestern, and I didn't really know how to handle it. It's like I wanted to go up to Coach Robe and be like, am I going to start? Am I going to start? Like a little kid, but I just kind of tried to keep my distance, and he came up to me on the way back. We were at a gas station, and he was like, you're going to get the ball at Northwestern. And I was like ecstatic, like beyond excited. Then started that game, had a pretty good start, 5 innings. Pretty sure I got the win that day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It was your first college win.
Yeah. My high coach Akini was there. My high school coach drove down and watched it. So it was cool. That was definitely a cool experience. And then, like you said, we had Evan. I think Evan was on Friday nights at that point. Wyatt was coming out of Pandemo. There were times where we would go freshman to freshman to freshman, there'd be 3 or 4 freshmen in a row. But I remember that Northwestern start. And then I think I got the next midweek start against McNeese. And that was like the 19 inning. That was a debacle.
And that was your last chance.
That was crazy. Yeah, because they told me
It was really cold.
It was freezing.
You only started a couple innings, pitched a couple innings, and then it was like a 19-inning game. And I remember we came in for it to watch him start, and they were leaving to go to Alabama that weekend. And my wife is like, "We're not leaving this game until I see him," because they're going on the road trip. So we're staying. And then it goes 19 innings, and it's like
it's freezing.
Yeah, it was freezing.
And so I'm just sitting up there like, all right, he's done after 2 innings. So you're watching 17 innings of baseball just so she can give him a hug and a kiss, but like a little, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, let's go home.
It's almost back to Little League ball again.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
That's funny.
You want to bring him a Powerade and a Snickers before we leave, too.
I mean,
you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, I remember that. And then the next one was Alabama on Sunday.
Right. Alabama on Sunday.
Which was, I guess, kind of when I felt like I belonged maybe a little bit, or like felt that I was, because there was times, especially in the fall, where just like the grind of doing both and all the workload, and I would go up on the mountain, I would just be, like dog tired, like exhausted. There was an outing in the fall where I gave up 10 runs in 2 innings. Like I literally, like it didn't matter what I threw, where I threw it, everybody was getting a hit. And so, there was times where I was kind of like, what did I get myself into? Because I don't think I had ever done that in my career, really.
Well, and then that Alabama weekend was a big one because Coach Robichaux had got his 1,000th win. Yeah. And then you turned it over into the series win at Alabama.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I remember, I guess that was like the first. Alabama was nationally ranked, and it's SEC, it's Alabama, and so that was kind of like, I guess, the first almost just kind of thrown into the fire with as far as like legitimate Division I baseball was concerned. No, but that was almost kind of like the stars line. I can remember me and Thurman were just locked in. I don't even really remember thinking a ton in that game. I was listening to Thurman just because he was the junior, the senior, and I was the freshman. But I was spotting up, and I was getting outs, and we were scoring. I think we won that game like 16-1 or whatever it was.
They scored that first inning. They had base hit in the triple in the first inning, and then
that was it, locked down.
Yeah, I don't think they got another hit the rest of the day.
Yeah, so that was, I guess that definitely gave me some confidence. That, like I said, that was the first time where I kind of believed that I belonged,
Look at me in the eye. They bleed just like you bleed. There is no apprehension. There is no fear. Bottom line, they got to come to us to get this done. All right, we decide what happens. We dictate what happens on that field today. Together on 3. 1, 2, 3, together.
To perform, you need speed, skill, strength. With every muscle, every move, you push your body to reach its full potential. But sometimes you just can't push through the pain. That's when you know it's time to address it. So when injury puts you on the sidelines, trust us to get you back in the game. Lourdes Sports Care, the team behind your team.
The Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, the highly recognized mark of distinction in college athletics across all divisions, both men's and women's sports. Follow your favorite team's pursuit for excellence in this prestigious annual award through thedirectorscup.com, USA Today, or L Directors Cup on Twitter. Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, the crowning achievement in college athletics since 1993.
Intact, together, discipline, tough, 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 intact, together, discipline, tough.
Thanks for joining us for this week's Inside Louisiana Softball. We leave you now with a look at the upcoming schedule.